Very distinctive shape, highlighted there in the sunshine, as the PBY-5A Catalina makes the turn and showing that big barn door of a wing. Aircraft dating from 1935, and as Ben was saying, it's not a flying boat exactly, it is actually an amphibian. Can operate from land as well as sea. And locally in the UK, the Catalina were based at Halesworth up in Suffolk in the Air Sea Rescue role. And in fact, this aircraft does currently wear the livery of the 5th Emergency Rescue Squadron, which was indeed based at Halesworth in Suffolk. And the Catalina was one of the aircraft that made the difference during the Battle of the Atlantic. The threat of the German submarines, the U-boats, was described by Churchill as the real thing that he was most frightened of during the Second World War. The danger to Britain's lifeline across the Atlantic and the threat to our maritime vital supplies that were coming across the Atlantic from North America. And here she comes now with the wing floats lowered. As I was saying, the Catalina was one of the aircraft, together with the Sunderlands and the long-range Liberators, that managed to plug the gap in the middle of the Atlantic, where the merchant ships were so vulnerable. And it was the introduction of the Catalinas in that anti-submarine role, together with the development of airborne radar, that really did turn the tide so far as the fight against the U-boats was concerned. Most attacks by U-boats were in fact on the surface. And it was whilst they were on the surface that the U-boats were most vulnerable. And Catalinas fitted with the airborne radar and those searchlights really did turn the tide. This one, of course, wearing American livery, but they did fly with the Royal Air Force, and in fact contributed greatly in the battle against the Bismarck, the capital warship of the Kriegsmarine, that was a major threat, and the hunt was on following the Bismarck's attack on the Hood, commemorated, of course, in the classic war film Sink the Bismarck. And in fact, it was around about this time of year in 1941 that the Bismarck, the elusive Bismarck, was spotted by a crew of Coastal Command. And that ship later crippled, of course, by an attack by Swordfish, another aircraft that we'll be seeing a little later on. Wartime service, of course, Catalinas continued to serve in a different type of service to mankind, widely operated as fire bombers. This particular Catalina, of course, did indeed see wartime service. It was built in 1944 and it served with several Royal Canadian Air Force squadrons and remained in service until 1959. And subsequent to that, it was operated for many years as a fire bomber. And this one operated by Plain Sailing, the organisation which has owned this aircraft as a syndicate, in fact, since 2004.
A very interesting aeroplane to fly in, with those big fuselage side blisters on the rear fuselage, which are actually outside.